margaritas and a margarita with the little
Umbrella?
you're you're good to go.
I'll be right back. That's a good idea.
Yeah, right.
Counselor, how do you feel?
Well, you're doing. I'm gonna.
Natasha.
I feel great. Yes. Thank you for asking.
How's Dan?
Oh, he's back to his normal self.
I can verify that. I was just there.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Is that good or bad?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
Good afternoon, folks.
How you doing, Mark?
Well,
Hey, Deidre.
Still trying to get used to these no-line bifocals.
Oh, you'll get used to them, you little young fella.
Is it me or we have a delay?
Tell you what, Gilly Road is not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
No, it is not.
After you make a few missteps, you'll get used to them.
The hard way.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Michael.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon. We'll get started here in a few minutes.
How you doing, Crystal? Just lay there.
Mr. Williams, Dr. Williams,
How are you?
I am doing good. It's been a
Yes, congratulations, sir.
sir. I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago. Since we had a pass in one of our old classmates, they're posting a lot of our old football pictures and projector, and there you were.
There you go. There you go. Don't forget about me, man. Now that you made it to the top, man, don't forget about the little people.
We went down memory lane at the service, a whole bunch of pictures from extras.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Do we have everyone?
I think so. Can I ask a real quick question, sir, before we start? Norma, can you mute everyone except
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise.
there is.
yes, since Randy is hosting, she can mute everyone.
There you go. There we go. There's a lot of
Do you
background
want us to mute too and just unmute when we're talking?
Yes, that probably helped. It helped last time. There we go. It's getting there. Okay, I'm going to call this to order of the Odessa City Council work session agenda. It's being Tuesday, February 2nd, year 2021. It is 3:01 p.m. I will start with invocation. If everyone can bow your heads for a moment. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we gather together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask you that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. And all of God's children responded by saying, Amen. We're going to start with item 1. Discussion regarding payroll protection program with representative from Frost Bank, Crystal Villegas. Ms. Villegas, if you're on with us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Frost Bank regarding the Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP. My name is Crystal Villegas, and I'm a commercial lender with Frost Bank and working with my fellow team members on the Paycheck Protection Program applications. So we wanted to just kind of inform everybody a little bit what PPP is, who can qualify, and what are the steps in order to go ahead and submit an application for our, local community business owners. As we know, we've all been impacted by this, and so we want to be able to help all of the businesses to bring in every dollar we can to supporting our community. So I'm going to start off a little bit. What is PPP? So PPP provides loans to businesses to keep their workforce employed during this COVID-19 crisis. So working with the government and with the Small Business Association, they created everything under the CARES Act. And so there are individuals or businesses that can qualify for the first draw for PPP loans and also the second draws. So nobody does not have the means to where they cannot see if they can qualify for this program. $284 billion has been allocated for this program. And so the requirements for some of the qualifications entities can be eligible, such as your sole proprietors, your independent contractors, self-employed individuals, partnership, any of those type of entities. And any small business concerns that meet SBA standards. There are some requirements, they're not able to have any type of bankruptcies, different guidelines like that that's provided under the SBA rules. This second round also does include the opportunity for our nonprofit organizations, veteran organizations that can apply the second round. So that does help with the chambers who can apply for those now currently. One of the big requirements was that businesses must show that there was a 25% reduction in gross receipts. So they do have to show in comparison to a quarter. For example, if it was 2019 quarter 2 compared to 2000 quarter 2 for 2020, they had to show the reduction in gross receipts. And so that will be something that can be required beforehand, before the application is approved, or afterwards when the individual applies for loan forgiveness. Some of the background loan details as far as what could be required. This is a loan when you receive the funds, but it can be turned into a grant upon applying for forgiveness. In the event that the individual or the borrower the loan cannot be forgiven, the PPP loan has an interest rate of 1%. It's set up on a 5-year maturity, and for a period of time, the loan can be deferred before any payments would be allowed to start being approved at that time. There are no type of collateral or personal guarantees with this loan, and neither the government or the lenders are charging any small businesses any fees or anything upfront. So that is dictated under the SBA CARES Act. The deadline to apply for this loan is March 31st, 2021, or until the funds are no longer available prior to this date. So we encourage everybody, that's been thinking about it, to go ahead and, contact their local financial institution to see what is the process for accepting applications. I know that there are some financial institutions that are not participating, and there are some that are participating. So we can advise them to visit the SBA.gov to see which lender could be participating in this. So and many of the lenders right now do have it to where they're accepting applications through the online portal or by paper applications. It just depends on that institution. And there are 2 different applications. If you're applying for the first time versus if you're applying for the second time, it just depends on the scenario for the customer. So when the individuals start speaking to their bank, they want to inquire what documents are required to accompany the applications for the PPP application. And so the SBA has also determined, and this is something that I believe we all kind of speak about before, identifying that our minority and our low income served areas have been underserved. And so they did allocate a percentage of the dollars to be allocated to those individuals in our community. And I think we can all say that we're all on the same page, saying we want to make sure that we can support our community and bring in every dollar that we can in this community.
Okay,
Thank you, City Council, for all of your efforts with the city supplement programs that y'all provided before. And if y'all have any questions regarding this, like I said, you can feel free to give me a call directly. My phone number is 432-617-1319. And again, I'm with Frost Bank, and we are continuing to assist consumers with their PPP applications in the community. Thank you for your time.
Hey,
Can
Crystal, I
anybody
got
hear me?
yes, there you
Go
are.
ahead, Mark.
Did you say there's 284 million allocated for these?
184 billion that has been allocated for the
Okay.
PPP program.
Crystal, this is Michael Marrero, City Manager for the City of Odessa. Thank you for your time and thank you for the information that you shared with us. You may have mentioned this earlier, but one of the reasons the city implemented its own program is because so many underserved and or micro businesses were not able to access the PPP program. Have those requirements been significantly tweaked since the first round of PPP loans?
No, sir, I wouldn't say that there's a big change with that. You know, if individuals, if they had a net income, you needed to make sure that there was not a net loss. They needed to make sure that they did have employees paying those wages. I think there was a lot of confusion. For instance, if you owned a trucking company, as an example, and I paid individuals by 1099s, that disqualified them from including those individuals that were receiving 1099s. And I think that's a lot that wasn't out there and clear for them. But those individuals that received 1099s, they have the opportunity to apply for their own PPP loan. But I wouldn't say there's been a significant change with the guidelines.
Okay. And the information, is it available in Spanish as well?
Yes, on the SBA.gov website, you can visit the website and they have the applications and in the information in Spanish.
Thank you, Ms. Villegas.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there any more questions or comments for Ms. Villegas? Okay, thank you, Ms. Villegas. Thank you for that time and that information.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask, for the record, is Councilmember Thompson at this?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is Councilmember Thompson at this meeting, for the record?
No.
Thank you.
Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct, isn't it? Mr. Thompson still not made it back?
I do not believe he's on the call today, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we're on to item 2, consider award of contract for 2021 HA5 high. I am going to butcher it. Is it a Irvine?
Yes, that's correct. Good afternoon, Mayor and Mayor Council. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Yervand Hemayagan. I'm the city engineer with the Public Works Department, and I look forward to working with
Yes, sir.
you all. And this item is to consider award of contract for high-density mineral bond pavement surface treatment. The Public Works Division is planning to use high-density mineral bond pavement surface treatment for a portion of the preventive maintenance program as a pilot project for the first time. And this product is approximately $3 per square yard and offers a good service life. It is designed to be applied to low volume streets, and our intent to use it on many of the streets that have not been seal coated or have not been sealed in several years. The purpose of this project is to seal approximately 82,000 square yards of residential streets, which is approximately 3.7 linear miles. And we have witnessed Midland using this product from 2017 through 2020. And this year they are expanding the application to approximately 636,000 square yards. The contract provides a turnkey project, and Andalite Construction Incorporated from Jordan, Texas is the sole provider of the high-density mineral bond. material in the state of Texas, and the contract amount is $252,641.49. And I'll be happy to answer to your questions.
Does council have any comments or questions?
I have a question, Your Bond.
Yes.
This is Tom Sproul.
Yes.
In looking at this map of the job locations, these are all existing streets, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And is 100th Street, the east side of 100th Street that's showing that we're going to do this improvement on, that street can't be that old. You know, I can't believe it's that worn yet.
So this
What street is that? What street is that, Tom?
Well, when you look at the map,
yes.
the top job location is 100th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, first of all, I didn't even know it was paved that far out to the loop.
It is not to the loop. There is a missing section, Mr. Sproul. It is not. It stops short from the loop. It is not all the way to the loop yet, but it is going.
How old is that street?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
How old is that street?
How old? It is at least 5 years old, and this material is designed to be applied at early stages, like 2 to 5 years, to prevent that pavement from heavy oxidation.
Okay.
That can last long.
I'm just surprised that that street even needs anything yet, but because it can't be that old.
Councilman Sproul.
Yes.
This is Tom Kerr. Yes, sir. Part of the process on what we're seeing with our maintenance is that if you treat streets a little sooner with some lighter maintenance, then the proponent in this case advises that you should get a lot more wear out of that street before you need to start to treat it again, say with seal coat and things like that. So we're trying some newer streets in this project, as well as some older streets, to see if it helps much with the older streets. And so but its first focus, they say, is for lighter maintenance streets. This is kind of a pilot program for us, although Midland's been doing it.
Is this similar to what you did here in right in the front?
Yes, it is similar, but they are not the same. They are a little different. That's why we're trying to see which one works.
Okay. That's my question.
Does council have any more questions? Any more questions? Statements? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item 3. Consider economic development agreement between ODC and Odessa College Foundation. Mr. Burnett?
Yes, sir, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mayor, members of the council. I know Randy's going to put up the renderings of this project, but I wanted to give you the basic details. I know it was in your packet, but the Compliance Committee accepted an application from Odessa College on this project for an 83,000 square foot health sciences building with about a $39.7 million capital expenditure on that. We look at the jobs retained in the job creation, but also the workforce training aspect for the nurses and the different medical fields that'll be benefiting from this project. And obviously our overall economy on that sector can use those. There's quite a shortage of those, but as the information mentions, Compliance Committee took the application, reviewed it thoroughly. There's 44 jobs retained and 16 new jobs created, and a little over $1 million in additional payroll. 440 student completions each semester, which is key for the job training aspect of this. The Compliance Committee recommended to the ODC $5 million grant over 5 years. We have done other projects with Odessa College for workforce training and fit in line with that. And they did approve that at their January meeting. I know this meeting is for questions and answers, and it's up for your ultimate review and vote at the February 9th meeting. So just here to answer questions and appreciate the time that you've given us. I know Dr. Williams and his team are on the WebEx here and have renderings and probably would like to share some more information with you. So I'll be happy to answer any ODC related or how the process work questions. But if you'll allow me to flip this over to Dr. Williams and his team to go over this with you, I'd appreciate it.
Dr. Williams?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you all for considering Odessa College and ODC's recommendation today. We're proud to be here before you. This support for a roughly $40 million project that will not only create jobs immediately, but will also produce a record number of students working in the health sciences field. We're excited about it. We think it'll add additional life to the entire Permian Basin from a medical standpoint. We think it'll save a lot of dollars. We have a number of community members who are very supportive. The Wood family has joined us with a tremendous donation. Medical Center Hospital is on board. We'll have other hospitals. We'll have other individuals involved as well. But we're excited about this. We think it continues to move Odessa and the Permian Basin forward. We'll answer any questions that you all might have.
I have a question. Where is this facility?
Anybody from the council have questions? Go ahead, Deidre, go ahead.
Where is this facility to be located?
It will be located in the location where Travis Hall exists currently.
Oh, okay.
It will face university.
Okay.
Dr. Williams, when are you expected to break ground again? I know you put it on there. There we go.
Mr. Mayor, our goal.
It gives a conceptual floor plan here.
Right. Our goal is to break ground in the fall.
Okay. And we're talking about a 3-year project?
Yes.
Where are you at? I mean, I think you have a preliminary budget of 39 million. Am I correct on that?
39.7, but I'm rounding. It's a $40 million project.
Okay. So where are you at right now with the contributions of the Wood family, city, and the hospital?
We're sitting between those three and Odessa College coming in at 14 million. We're sitting at 29 million. And we have other donors who are coming in soon. So we're about $11 million away. And we think we'll get there in the next 3 or 4 months.
Any more questions? Mr. Burnett, Dr. Williams? Looks awesome. Can't wait to breaking ground and get forward and start providing an additional need that we have in this community.
Yeah, it looks good.
Thank you all for your support.
Dr. Williams, thank you for
Thank y'all for your time.
everything you're doing at Odessa College.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item 4. Consider amending the 2020-21 budget for appropriating additional $102,536,092 for the cost of the general election and runoff election. Ms. Grimaldo.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Back in the spring of 2020, the election forecast had an increase from the 2018 election. The budget provided for an increase using the 2018 cost. Unfortunately, the election cost far exceeded the budgeted amount. The election cost with Ector County was a 50% cost split. The election with Midland County was a part cost among 4 other entities. As you can see there, I itemized the election costs by the counties and then the OAs, the public notice that we had to publish in the newspaper. The election cost for the general November 3rd election had a total cost of $114,946.28. The cost for the runoff December 15th election was $77,590.64, which brings a total cost of both elections to $192,536.92. The budgeted amount for the general election was $65,000, and there was an appropriation in November of $25,000 for the runoff election. There was a significant amount of increased costs due to the rising cost of holding elections. Also, in 2018, with Ector County, the cost was split by 3 entities. In 2020, it was just split by 2 entities. Other factors included an additional 4 days of early voting ordered by Governor Abbott, additional COVID personnel for each vote center to clean the booths, COVID kit costs, and the number of machines was higher due to a higher expected amount of voter turnout. The pandemic also resulted with a higher number of mail ballots requests that were mailed, which caused more printed ballots and an increase of postage. The cost exceeded the budgeted amount by $102,536.92. The budget amendment would appropriate that amount from the general fund to pay for the elections. Lisa, elections administrator, is in attendance, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, and I think I lost you there, Ms. Grimaldo. Did you give a number per cost per mail-in ballot?
Not a total number, no.
Okay. I guess we can get that in another date.
Yes.
Did you say Lisa's online?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Let me ask this question. Was there an increase? I mean, we saw an increase. Even though we had what, total of 4 weeks or 5 weeks in the general election, being early and election day. We had was it additional 4 days or 5 days?
4 days with a total of 16 days of early voting.
How many locations did we have in Midland County that Midland County City of Odessa residents were afforded to them in Midland County?
They're also vote centers, so they can vote anywhere in Midland County. I would have to put that number of vote centers for early voting.
Okay.
And to answer your questions for the mail ballots, 3,225 mail ballots were requested
In the general election.
in the general
election.
That's for Ector County only.
Then we had what was the do you have the number in the additional for the runoff? Is it 900?
I'm sorry, one more time. Could you please repeat that?
What was the additional mail-in ballots in the runoff? Was that a little over 900? I can't recall.
I don't think it's separated. It's just a total. It shows a total mail. It doesn't separate it.
Okay. Let me ask this question. Is it a possibility that we got a low number when we you budgeted this back in what, May of 2020?
Yes, April, May.
So it's a possibility that we wind up getting a low bid back in May, and then anticipate the rising cost, and nobody anticipated the additional days that the governor was going to place in, and nobody foresaw a runoff. But is it a possibility to look at the cost in Ector County, Midland County? There's a possibility that we got a low number to begin with when we did the bid, when we sent out and we originally budgeted. You think it basically is a contributing factor to. It's not so much it was a huge increase, but the thing is that we start off with a low amount and then anticipate there was going to be a higher cost.
Correct.
It's my estimate, because I mean, it's a huge jump. Yeah, okay. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? It was expensive. Council, does anybody have any more comments or questions for Grimaldo?
I guess
Thank you for,
the
being on
the
topic.
voter turnout was
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
the turnout was going to be more just because it was a presidential election. And I wonder, was that taken into consideration whenever we got the original bid request for this? Because it is a huge amount to that went over. I wonder, or was it just because we had more than just the local city elections going on? It's always going to be a lot higher voter turnout. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but
That was considered, yes, it was a presidential election year, but also we didn't know how many entities that were going to participate in the November election. And that was partly the huge difference. In 2018, there was 3 entities that split the cost. And last year, it was just us 2, county and city.
okay. Thanks, Norma.
Any more comments or questions for Ms. Grimaldo? Thank you, ma'am. We're going to move to item 5. Consider a resolution of support for an application of the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for the 2021 competitive 9% housing tax credit. This would be for Woodcrest Apartments. City Manager, Mr. Marrero.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The item that I wish to discuss with you this afternoon is a request from Rise Residential Construction, who plans to submit a application to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for what's called a 9% at-risk tax credit. Their proposal is to take the existing site and I hope everybody can see that map. Can you see the map?
There we go.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yes.
Some of you, or all of you, should be familiar with the location. It's right off of Harless and 8. This is the existing Woodcrest Apartments. And and I believe the developer may be on the consultant rather for the developer may be online, and he may want to add. But essentially, the proposal is to apply for a tax credit that would then allow the developer to take this property, move all of the existing residents to other units throughout the community, and then demolish the existing structure. The existing structures that are there are over 50 years old. They are approximately 74 units located on this site. They will be then replaced with 74 brand new units that will be constructed through the TDHCA tax credit program. Those individuals that currently reside in at this property, as I mentioned, will be relocated. The cost of that relocation will be borne by the contractor, whoever wins the contractor in this case. When the project is complete, the contractor will also be responsible for moving those individuals back in. This has what's called an existing HAP contract on it. HAP means Housing Assistance Program. So all of these units are currently subsidized by the Housing Department, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Those will continue. The HAP contract, as part of this redevelopment, will be extended. So we'll continue to have this sort of affordable housing for at least the near term. Mr. Fisher, are you online by any chance? All right. I'd sent the invitation to the consultant on this.
Yes, this is Bill Fisher. I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Bill.
Okay. Sorry, I was
muted. I gave a brief synopsis, but if you want to provide more detail to the council, that will help them decide whether or not they would like to support this project.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mayor, council members, Bill Fisher with Sonoma Housing. I'm the advisor to Rise Residential who helps them arrange these financings that allow them to acquire these types of properties and redevelop them. Our objective is pretty much threefold. Number one, it is to take a very old building that has very little ability to be code compliant, energy efficient, water efficient, and replace it with something brand new, code compliant, energy efficient, water efficient for the benefit of the residents long term. This rental subsidy comes directly from Washington. It does not interfere or encroach on any local resources at all. These contracts cannot be anything other than renewed and extended. So if you went back 25 years, there were 3 million of these units across the United States. Today, there's less than 900,000. So one of the objectives is to extend the rental subsidy for the benefit of low-income families in the Odessa community. Right now, the rental subsidy contract expires in the next 24 months. I certainly don't want to imply to the council that HUD would not intend on renewing the contract. They would, they just would not do it long term, so that the residents would remain at risk given the physical condition of the building, because at some point they will cease rental assistance when the property just gets too old or too costly to operate. The other significant benefit, obviously, is the neighbors and the neighboring communities around us gets a brand new property. Gives us a chance to provide additional amenities for the residents, provide a clubhouse, and most importantly, provide a modern look that is consistent with current Odessa building standards and codes. So there's a unique opportunity here to have TDHCA provide funding to us to bring those resources to Odessa, which would facilitate a temporary relocation of the residents in the community at our expense, which would allow us to demolish these buildings and, subject to an approved site plan and building plans through your normal processes, to rebuild a brand new housing community in that location, same number of units, same types of units. So our floor plan types will not change. The new floor plans obviously will be much larger than they are, which is current standard. You know, the objective long term is to keep a rental subsidy that comes from Washington to Odessa at this point that helps you serve low and moderate income residents in your community. The application process with TDHCA for all practical purposes to win the funding requires a resolution of support from the City Council. That's why we're before you. The good thing is there's also a pre-application round, and if you were to go out on the TDHCA website, we fall under a specific set-aside, an at-risk set-aside, and those are properties that are at risk of losing this type of rental subsidy. The state legislature has prioritized these for many years. These resources come to this particular set-aside first before they go anywhere else. And at this point in time, Woodcrest is the highest scoring application in the state. So as you consider us for an up or down on the 9th, you would know that for most likelihood, if you did support the application, we would receive funding that would be sufficient to allow the property to be demolished and rebuilt. I do want to make sure you understand that these residents are protected by state law, as well as the Federal Relocation Act, which requires us to work closely with the residents to minimize their displacement and bear all the costs associated with that. They will not lose their rental subsidy while they are living on other apartments. What happens is HUD passes the rent that's currently being paid to the owner through to the residents and where they live, so that they continue to enjoy the support that they need in order to stay in their home. And we certainly ask you, respectfully request that you support the development and allow us to acquire the property and proceed with the redevelopment, which would start in the fall of this year.
Bill, can you tell the council the construction time that would be associated with this, as well as the dollar amount invested in the project?
It's approximately a $14 million development, and the construction timeline is going to be 12 to 14 months. What we try to do is be as ready as we can before the first resident moves. The demolition and construction would start right away. We'd expect to have families, subject to the approval of the fire marshal and building inspector, moving back into finished buildings, certainly within 9 or 10 months. The entire development would not be done for 12 to 14, but the 12 to 14 period is where the period where we would finish the swimming pool, the clubhouse, the playground equipment would be installed. Our primary objective would be to replace the living units as quickly as possible and get these families back relocated where they've lived for many, many years.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks. Does the council have any questions or comments?
I'd just like to point out another thing, and I don't think you mentioned it. If so, I missed it. But as this, if approved, and as this procedure starts, the current residents will be involved. They'll have meetings with them. They won't just, come in and tomorrow you have to be gone. There is a process where the residents know what's coming up, and we'll have some input. And I think that's important to have that buy-in. He also mentioned when we talked that occasionally there will be those who will move in with, will have to move in with family members possibly, and there is a mechanism where where this company will pay for the storage of their current furniture, as needed, and so they appear to take really good care of the current residents.
That is all correct. The residents,
how many residents? Go ahead.
There's 74 households that live there now.
Okay.
As you might imagine, this property is always full. HUD pays on average 2/3 of the total rent that's collected on the property, which means many of these families are literally paying all of their rent in order to have a place to live. It's part of the safety net that we offer to low and moderate income families. Many of our residents are elderly or disabled. That's who we serve.
Bill, how do these projects like this, you mentioned the decrease in the HUD projects, what causes them to fold?
They're in locations or markets where the owner opts to sell to someone who redevelops the property market rate. And in that case, the residents are permanently relocated off the property at their own expense. Once the HAP contract ends, the property no longer enjoys a federal subsidy. The residents lose much of their federal protection. And so many of these properties have been lost over the years because the locations in major metropolitan areas and areas where the economies have been strong have simply been replaced with market rate housing. And of course, some of them have become obsolete. They just get older. And if there isn't an opportunity to do what we're proposing at Woodcrest, then the housing is inherently lost through obsolescence.
Well, thank you.
Council, I will say that.
So
I'm sorry, Mayor. I will say that over the years,
go ahead.
I will say that over the years, I think the council is fully aware of the struggles we've had with affordable housing. And unfortunately, in more recent past housing markets, it's this particular population that has the absolute hardest time finding quality, affordable housing. So to lose this sort of housing for this particular population would be devastating for those families who would then have to find new locations to live.
Yeah, agreed. But so basically, is we're giving it, we're extending the life of it. We're talking another 50 years at minimum.
It's certainly 40 would be the idea that the physical structure being brand new would last 40 years. HUD will extend the rental subsidy right off the get-go once the property is complete for another 20 years. So on the rental subsidy, we're guaranteed another 20 years as part of this redevelopment.
That is good. Looks good. Any more questions for Bill? Sir, we thank you. Michael, very good.
Thank you.
No more business. Thanks very much, sir. This work session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and
I'll second.
I'm not here, but do you have a motion? Second.
So moved, Javier.
Maldo, is it noticed that we had a motion and a second? I did not hear it.
We just need a vote. We have a first and a second.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by raising your hand in the same action. The motion passes. We are adjourned. Everyone have a great week. And we will see you next Tuesday.